describe what a temporary residence permit is? What rights and responsibilities does it confer?
Well, really, a temporary resident permit or a TRP is, as I mentioned, a permit that allows an applicant who's otherwise inadmissible to Canada to enter, whether that be for medical reasons or criminality. Those are usually the grounds for refusal or for inadmissibility. So if someone's issued a temporary resident permit, it allows them to enter as a temporary resident, whether it's for work, whether it's for visitation, or whether it's for study for a temporary period, like a regular visitor, despite their criminality. And that's really what it does. So for Mr. Black, if he wants to come to Canada to visit his spouse and his family as a visitor, he would still need that TRP.
There's a time limit on it. Is it renewable?
It's renewable. Usually it's issued for a year, sometimes 6 months, depending upon the case. And you can renew it at the port of entry, or sometimes applicants can renew it internally in Canada.
And have you ever handled a case like this where somebody's had a criminal record in another country and wants to come to Canada, is not a citizen?
Yeah, we do many of those kind of cases, from nationals, from foreign nationals from many different countries, including the U.S., overseas. The process is very similar. As I mentioned, in some cases, applicants will have to apply at the Canadian Embassy in their jurisdiction. Other applicants, like Americans, could have take advantage of the option of applying right at the border. Not all applicants have that.
Have you had clients turned down?
We have. You have to be very selective in these cases. There are some cases where the criminality is so severe, the need for entering Canada is not compelling, in which case it's not a strong case, and applicants of that nature will likely be refused. The other interesting issue is Minister Kenney's proposal to put an annual cap on temporary resident permits. Right now there's no cap, so the government can take an unlimited amount of applications and adjudicate them. If Kenney has his way, I don't know the numbers, but it may be the case that there's a cap imposed on TRPs. And that would be an interesting scenario for Mr. Black. Can you imagine him applying for the TRP and the government basically saying, sorry, we're maxed out, we can't help you, come back next year? That could happen.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it looks like that they would have to come down with this policy.
Correct.
He's going to make his application if he hasn't already done it, very soon.
That's right. So
he's lucky he's getting in under the
correct.
Correct.
I'd
like to ask you a little bit about reclaiming one's citizenship. And before we get to that, you use the word need to come to Canada. What does that mean? The need of the individual, or the need of Canada to admit the person?
It's a good question. It's really the need of the individual, and whether or not it's strong enough to overcome the risk of that individual either reoffending or causing any risk to any Canadian citizen upon entry. So it's a need versus risk balance, and that's an analysis that every officer has to go through to adjudicate a TRP. In Mr. Black's case, I think the need certainly outweighs the risk.
Right. I mean, he owns substantial property here in Toronto. I mean, his career was built in Toronto. He's born in Montreal. His roots in this country go very deep.
Correct.
And he has his family, his wife, and his children are all Canadian citizens.
That's right.
Now, dealing with the question, he renounced his citizenship a number of years ago, and has always said that he would, quote, take back his citizenship at an appropriate time. How easy is that to do?
It's an unusual procedure. It doesn't happen very often. The fact that he's married to a Canadian citizen gives him that option. Essentially, his wife could sponsor him for permanent residence, and he can become a permanent resident through the spousal sponsorship category. After he's approved under the Citizenship Act, he could apply for resumption of citizenship. Usually after a year of becoming a permanent resident, he could potentially be eligible to reclaim his Canadian citizenship. That's not open to many people, most Canadians who become Canadians or who are born in Canada maintain their Canadian citizenship through their lifetime. So it's not a very well known and well or popular procedure, but it is open to him.
Now, you recall the incident that led to him renouncing his citizenship was he wanted to become a member of the House of Lords in Britain.
That's right.
Could they make a resumption of his citizenship or reinstatement of his citizenship contingent on him renouncing his membership of the House of Lords? In other words, give up being a Lord in Britain?
I don't think the Canadian government would do that. It's really a question of whether or not Mr. Black wants to maintain that status as a member of the House of Lords. Because if the House of Lords and the rules there require that he give up his Canadian citizenship to be a member, then that's the case. Then he's going to have to make that call. But I think that the Canadian government, Citizenship and Immigration, will just basically make a judgment call as to whether or not he's deserving of the resumption of his citizenship based on, you know, what we discussed, his contribution to Canada. And I think again, he'll be approved.
Are you surprised he's still a member of the Privy Council and a member of the Order of Canada?
I'm not surprised. I mean, you know, what's happened to him, it's very controversial. It's not black and white. He was convicted of an offense. He's a convicted felon. He's just won a recent victory in the Supreme Court of Canada. It was a libel suit, and I believe he's now eligible, or he can sue his former colleagues. It's a situation where I think, as I said before, his contributions vastly outweigh you know, the blemishes on his history or his recent history. So I'm not surprised at all.
That's it. Anything I didn't ask you want to talk about?
I think that covers it.
Covered
Yeah, you're pretty thorough.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you. That's great.